Well, one of the things that features most in the British way of life, I always think, is the garden fete. Now, every church, chapel, club, home and institution holds its annual fete. Thousands of them are held throughout the country, and every one of them is religiously reported in that other British institution, the local evening newspaper. Now, I'd like to read to you now a report from a local evening newspaper of a typical English garden fete. The annual garden fete, held in the grounds of the vicarage of St. Adam Faith last Saturday, was this year attended by an even denser crowd than usual. The fete had its usual luck with the weather, and the lovely trees on the vicarage lawn afforded some slight shelter from the teeming rain which fairly hissed down in the early part of the afternoon, but which fortunately at tea time changed into a steady drizzle. The vicar introduced the opener of the fete, well-known local guide and scout mistress, the Honourable Agatha St. John Beamish. And speaking of her sterling work with the guides, commented that the dream of every vicar was to have a mistress like her living in the village. In reply, the Honourable Agatha asked everyone to give freely and spoke on the church roof. As she couldn't be heard up there, however, she came down and finished her talk on a platform decorated with a Union Jack and a vase of flowers. The platform was tastefully decorated too. She spoke of the need for reslating the church roof, saying that both she and the vicar could tell of the bad state of the roof as they'd been out on the tiles together the night before. After the speech, there was a charming ceremony when the opener was presented with a bouquet of flowers by a small boy with a rather unusual smell. The Honourable Agatha then declared the fete open and went to the first side store where she tried to knock coconuts down with the vicar. A new innovation was the dog show, which was held in the Brownie Hut. It was slightly marred, however, by a rather savage fight which broke out among the competitors, the Judge Squire Trelawney being rather badly bitten in the middle of it. Fortunately, all the dogs remained quiet throughout the entire fight. In the Scout Hut, the miniature fancy dress competition was won by Miss Ida Lovett. She wore the most miniature fancy dress. This was a popular win, as Miss Lovett is well known in scouting circles as Brown Owl. For obvious reasons, to wit, to woo. Prominent among the sideshows were the young wives and their fancy goods, the roulette wheel, which was run and fixed by Monsieur Duval, whom it is reported the police are extremely interested in, and the Youth Club's rock and roll competition, which finished up in a blaze of glory when the sum of £10 was raised to the funds and the parish hall was raised to the ground. The skittles were under the auspices of Mr. Clapworthy, and the hidden treasure was under Mrs. Beamish. To sum up this most successful day, in the words of Miss Lovett, it was a fate worse than death. One of Britain's most admired bodies, apart from Miss Diana Dawes, is, of course, the police force. Whilst the CID and the Bobby on the beat are perhaps the most famous part of this respected force, another branch are those in charge of the wonderful police dogs. Now, they too help in the relentless fight against crime and have to be specially trained to have complete control over their canine assistants. Oh, good morning, P.C. Robinson. Have you ever worked with dogs before? You have? Good. Oh, Pekingese, eh? No, Robinson. Our doggies are a bit bigger than that. Now, this is Rover, the dog that you will work with. Robinson, come back. Robinson! Fetch him, Rover. Come on, boy, fetch him. Now, drop him. Good boy. You shouldn't have run like that, my lad. Rover's trained to grab at a running man. Let go, Rover, and come here. Here. Good dog. Don't be silly, Robinson. Of course it's not a wolf. Just a rather large Alsatian, that's all. Now, the first thing to do is to get to know your dog. Now, a good sniff round will show him you're friendly. Robinson, let him do the sniffing, not you. Now, come on, fondle him and let him know you're friends. Don't be silly, man, he won't bite you. Yes? Well, that means he likes you. He didn't spit it out, did he? Well, now, staunch the blood with your handkerchief, and let's get on with the lesson. Yeah, that's right. Now, you're friends, aren't you? Now, don't overdo it now. Put him down. Put him down. Rover, put him down. Now, put his lead on. On the dog, Robinson. Put yourself together, young man. Yeah, it's better. I want you to go for a little run round. Not so fast, there's no need to hurry. Not so fast. Rover, Robinson, come here. Now, walk round the room with Rover at your heel. I said walk, not sprint, and take your foot out of his mouth and stop fooling around. And come down from the top of that cupboard and get on with the lesson. He's not new to the work, you know. He's had 12 handlers already. In a week. Now, put this padded glove on and let him bite your hand. Go on, Rover, bite him. Good. Oh, man, you should have put the glove on your other hand. Now, we shall let Rover show you how he jumps at a man, knocks him to the ground, pins him by the shoulders, and grabs him by the throat. Just loosen your collar, Robinson. At him, Rover. Go on, that'll do, Rover. Rover. Good boy. Do as you're told. Never mind, Robinson. Better luck next time. In the meantime, I shall just rush to the casualty ward, but don't let Rover know where you are, or he might try and bury you in the garden with the rest of his bones. Next recruit, please. British Railways, lifeline of our nation. No other country has anything quite like the British Railways. And on every station, to assist the passengers on their smooth, swift journey, there is a bookstore. And every bookstall is full of women's magazines. And in every woman's magazine, there is a true love story or special romantic article, usually written by a man. Here, from one of these magazines, is a feature by one of those romantic writers, Godfrey Nichols. About that great British institution, the British Railways. From that magic moment, when I first saw Victoria Station, I knew it was love at first sight. Oh, I'd seen other stations before. I remembered the dark, sultry seductiveness of King's Cross. Liverpool Street, all gay and windswept. Particularly Platform 10. Paddington, in whose torrid embrace I'd first realized I was a man. I'd had to pay full fare. But these were as nothing compared with the staggering glamour of Victoria. Breathlessly, I raced up the long escalator marked down and arrived at the top with my heart pounding furiously. I was anxiously looking for the Bristol train, and so were the British Railways. And then I saw my Victoria in all her delightful glory. I noticed her slim lines, her shiny, well-oiled bumpers, her waist. I'd never seen such a waist. Her refreshment room, everything that goes to make up a well-groomed, sophisticated station. And then I heard the dulcet voice of my beloved.
The next train leaving for platform 10 is already Newbury Bristol.
I rushed to the barrier with my ticket in my hand and my heart in my mouth. And the man there made a little hole in it. I thanked him wholeheartedly. Then I made my way to the refreshment bar, still with one eye on my beloved and the other on the price list. I joined the queue for the delicious nectar-like tea which one of my beloved handmaidens was pouring over the counter. She stopped pouring it over the counter and poured it into a cup. And said, "1 cup with or without sugar ducks." I chose one without sugar ducks. And went to the fire, which was blazing passionately in the grate, and sat beside an old gentleman with a dog stirring his tea. I'd never seen a dog stirring tea before. I went to my train and entered a compartment which was empty, except for a dear old lady with her suitcase in the luggage rack. I lifted the dear old lady down from the luggage rack. I had a feeling she was on the wrong train. "Excuse me," I said. You're not going to Bath on this train, are you?
No, dear, she replied. I forgot me soap and flannel.
I went to the window and looked round. I always do, you know, it's the way I'm built. And I looked out at my beloved Victoria. I realized what delights she had to offer me. I wanted to taste them all. I wanted to throw myself into the gay, wild abandon of the southern region. I was in love. I knew now that I had met my Waterloo.